Hey everybody, this is Brandon Luna.
And Randy Rankin.
And welcome to
Fright Flix,
the new podcast that talks about everything horror related. We're going to be reviewing movies on this show. We're going to be reviewing comic books, television shows, anything horror related we can kind of get our hands on. We're going to review it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be kind of a rotating group of cast here. Myself, Brandon Luna.
Randy Rankin.
And occasionally we'll have filmmakers on and people like that to kind of round out the show.
Some celebrity guests.
Yes, definitely. And by celebrities, we mean sort of celebrities.
Yeah, some celebrities.
Some celebrities to us, maybe.
Yeah.
And to other people. But
Absolutely.
we know some people, so yeah.
Yeah, we do.
And, this is going to be something great, something different for us. If you don't know who we are, I'm Brandon Luna.
Randy Rankin.
And we had a show previously together called the Calypso Cigar Review. And also...
Cigars and Cinema.
Yep. So if you haven't been familiar with those shows, check them out. I know they're both cigar-centric, and this is not necessarily. But those shows aren't just about cigars.
No, they're guy shows. We talk sports, girls, movies, etc. Booze. You know, we run the gamut of guy talk.
Yep, we do. And, even the Calypso Cigar Review is strictly a cigar review. It does have a cigar review every single show, but it's interspersed with other talk. Cigars and Cinema, it is a straight-up movie review show that happens to have a movie that has cigars in it. So something interesting for everybody there. And if you are a fan of podcasts, definitely give those a listen. But Fright Flix is the new show we're doing now. And each show we're going to do something different. So today we're going to review a film. It's actually coming out on Blu-ray and DVD soon.
Yes, and it came out in October, this past October. Ironically enough, and it's called Halloween 2018. Now, this, of course, is the direct sequel to the John Carpenter classic from 1978, Halloween. So any other Halloweens you've seen before this one, after the first one, don't count. They didn't exist.
They did that weird thing that they do sometimes, where it's basically just a reboot based on the original.
It's like that series Dallas, when they did a whole season and then didn't like it, and they made it a dream.
Right,
That's
right,
what
right.
happened basically in this movie.
So yeah, you're taking basically everything Halloween 2 on and just scrapping it, and you watch the original Halloween and this one, and you're good to go.
And it works, I think, in that regard.
I think it does, yeah.
yeah.
I think it really does. So personal opinion on the film, I thought it was ass. I hated it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I was I was a little leery when I first heard about it being done and what the concept was.
I expected you to hate it.
Yeah.
And when I called you, I remember saying, and I know what you're going to think, but what did you think? And you were like, oh, I loved it. I was like, huh?
Yeah, it was.
I actually looked at my phone to make sure I was talking to you.
Right. No, I mean, I'm just such a big fan of the series in general. I love the Mike Myers stuff, and I'm a big fan of a lot of the sequels that a lot of people don't like.
Right.
But I think there's merit in them. I think they're fun in the way that Friday the 13th is.
Right.
They're
fun for the genre.
Right, for the genre. I'm actually a closet lover of Halloween 3, which was Season of the Witch, which tried to do something different. It's one of those movies that didn't really do well when it came out. Did you enjoy it at all, or
I
no?
didn't as a kid. I respect it for what they tried to do now, but I still am not a fan.
Yeah,
It's still not what... It has to have Michael Myers for me in order for it to be a Halloween movie.
Right.
It was a clever concept for then. Nowadays, when you tell people the premise, you're like, oh, you can do that now.
Right, yeah.
But back then, it was groundbreaking what they were trying to do. And it
trying to
worked.
continue the
I mean,
series.
I was creeped out by it as a kid.
Right.
You know, but then again, because I don't like bugs. And
Right.
that creeped me out when they're...
Whenever the flashy TV thing and the bugs that come out of their head with the masks.
Yeah, that drove me nuts.
I enjoyed it because it was different. Again, when it was a kid, I didn't like it because it didn't have Mike Myers and I didn't know what they were doing. I'm like, what are they doing here? Why is there no Michael Myers? But I think that's one that could be good for Second Chance Cinema, which is another show we're going to be doing. If you listen to the podcast group that we do, we have Love to Hate, we have Calypso Cigar Review, we have Cigars and Cinema, we have Fright Flix, and we're going to have also Second Chance Cinema. And the idea behind that show, and the Cigar Show, the idea behind that is that we basically review movies that we may either have seen when we were a kid and thought they were great and now not so much, or saw it the first time and didn't like it and we see it now and go, yeah, it's great, or we give it a second chance and we still hate it or we still love it, one of the two.
Exactly.
So that's the concept for that show. Check it out if you haven't already, and we hope you are listening.
So do we want to set up
let's go ahead and do that.
Halloween 2018? So it's 40 years later. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, which is awesome.
Right.
And she is totally different. She's a different Laurie Strode in this one than she was in the first one.
Right. They totally Linda Hamilton her up on this.
Yeah, in this one, or in the first one, of course, she was, I wouldn't say Miss Goody Two Shoes, but she was very wholesome, very school driven. She wanted to get good grades, and you could tell of all her friends, she was the virginal one.
Right.
And not just in a sexual way, in all ways. She wasn't very worldly.
Right.
And in this one, after the trauma that occurs during the first Halloween movie, she has gone apeshit.
Yeah.
She lives in a fortress that she's designed herself. She's a gun nut, and she is just prepared for... In her mind, she knows Michael Myers will escape one day, and she's going to be ready for him.
Right. At the behest of her family, I mean, basically she's, turned away everybody that loved her kids.
Well, they turned her away, basically.
Yeah, because she was a nutbag, basically, or they thought she was a nutbag. But then, of course, he does escape, and shit happens. So if you haven't seen this yet, there will be spoilers in this review. If you have seen it, then enjoy this review with us. Maybe check it out after you've seen the flick. But big round of applause to this for me. I thought it was very well done. Very surprised that Danny McBride was involved in the screenplay for this. Because he's typically, you think of Danny McBride, you think of the goofy stuff that he does, Eastbound and Down, that type of thing. And it's, the principals or whatever it is, or vice principals.
And it's Blumhouse, which is very hit and miss.
Yeah.
Very, more miss than hit.
Right. Blumhouse is one of those companies that they do support Texas Frightmare Fest, so we love that. And they do put out some good flicks. But they also are big on doing low-budget genre films that appeal to the millennial.
Yeah.
So a lot of their stuff is going to be a lot of jump-out fright scares, and I'm more a fan of creepy stuff than I am jump-out scares.
Yeah.
So a lot of their stuff isn't necessarily for me. But Blumhouse is also very good about putting money into projects that are already done, taking those and releasing them, and picking out some really good stuff. Like if you haven't seen the film Upgrade, it was basically the best Venom movie that was made this year, but it wasn't Venom. It was already shot. They bought it, released it, and it's a great sci-fi flick if you haven't seen it. And it's Blumhouse. So.
Okay. And yeah, like I said, nothing wrong with them. And every studio has their hits and misses.
Right.
And I've seen more misses than hits, but it doesn't mean that I don't watch them. I'm very forgiving in the horror genre.
Right.
As long as they try and they put up a decent effort, I'll at least give them credit for that. And they certainly do that.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, but as far as Halloween's concerned, I really liked the concept that they came up with. A little iffy on the whole podcast guys going to interview him and stuff and that type of thing. I thought that was a little... I would
think, nothing against podcast guys, since that's what we are.
Right.
And we say guys, it's a guy and a girl. And
right.
I think they're from England or
something
Ireland
like that,
or something. I can't imagine them getting access through a podcast to get to go to a mental institute and try to interview Michael.
Right.
I mean... For a podcast, I mean, you better be getting 40, 50 million hits.
Yeah, unless you're Radio Lab or something like that, probably not going to happen.
Right.
But I saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to bring it into this generation and make it a way that our younger generation would understand.
Right.
It makes it more believable that they would be hunted down and killed by Michael than someone with a television crew and a big van.
Yeah, because then it would have turned into Quarantine or Blair Witch Project where they're filming everything.
Exactly.
And that would have messed up.
So it worked because it was a smaller scale type thing. It was two individuals that were interviewing him. He escaped, went after those two individuals, and then kind of went from there.
Right.
So.
And they, of course, want to... they try to interview Michael Myers, and the head doctor is he's a Sam Loomis protege.
Right.
Sam Loomis, of course, was the great Donald Pleasance in the first Halloween.
Right.
Actually, he was in most of the
most of them until he died.
But that one didn't count.
Right.
Those don't count. Just the first one. And he was a student of his, and so Michael has been an obsession of his for a long time.
Right.
He allows this podcast group to have access to Michael, but of course Michael's not going to talk. You know, he doesn't talk. But I did like there were little things, and this is just one of the samples that I'm going to throw out there. There were little things that they. You know, because sometimes you'll watch a horror movie and they'll be like, well, why don't they just do this? They filled in the blank before you could ask that question.
Right.
Because the doctor says, oh, he can talk. He just doesn't.
Right.
And because you'd be like, you know, you're expecting him to talk and all this good stuff, and you realize he's not going to talk because the doctor's already told us he's not going to talk. But when he pulls out the mask and Michael starts freaking because he can... And he's not even looking at it. He like feels the power of the mask.
Yeah, everything goes bonkers in
which
the scene.
I thought was going to be a little cheesy. I thought, oh, God, they're going to turn this into a supernatural thing or something. But, you know, they didn't. It was just the force of the of the mask got Michael riled up,
Right.
which in turn riled up all the other loonies in the
Exactly.
in the playground area. That got him, yeah.
And interestingly enough, they got Nick Castle back to play the Shape. Now, he played the Shape as Michael Myers when he was in the
Right.
actual institution.
Right.
Once the mask went on, he was killing people, was actually a different actor. It was James Jude Courtney.
Yeah.
So they did go with the younger actor for that. But there is, he's also a stuntman, able to do those falls and stuff like that. So.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
Also very good at portraying the Shape. It was seamless to me. It didn't seem like it was...
I didn't see any big difference
Yeah.
there, And, as Kane Hodder has proved with Jason in the Friday the 13th movies, even though you're wearing a mask and you're not talking, you can still add something to the character.
Totally.
And I didn't think that much was added to Michael because he still just seemed like creepy Michael, who's never in a hurry.
Right.
Who just walks about and does what he's got to do and gets it done. So, yeah, you would have thought it was the same actor the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And I would think that would be harder because I think it'd be easier to put your own twist on something.
Right.
When you're having to follow something that's already been done.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be more difficult as an actor.
Right. And there's been a big surge in Hollywood lately to bring back old properties. You've seen the Star Wars surge. You've seen everything. All these things are getting revamped and re-put out. You got Murphy Brown on television again, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me. But
and Will and Grace.
Right, and Will and Grace. So they're definitely doing this. But and I think the problem with that sometimes is there's a certain level of fan service that's expected, and sometimes they go a little overboard with that. Like with the Star Wars flicks, there's probably too much fan service for me. Every time I see something from the old movies, I'm like, just make it stop. And there's like everybody's clapping in the theater and just like, yeah, but later 2 years from now when you watch that movie again, you're going to go, that's fucking stupid, So
right.
This one had a little bit of that here and there. They didn't go too overboard with it. The Shape obviously did the very famous one sit-up move that he did in the original Halloween, so that was very cool to see that again. Little things like that harkened back.
I like the little reversals that harkened back also. In the first one, Jamie Laurie is sitting in the classroom and she looks outside and she sees
the Shape,
Michael. And this one, almost the same scenario. The granddaughter, Jamie Laurie's granddaughter's sitting in class and she looks out. And you're kind of expecting her to see Michael, but no, she sees her grandmother.
Right.
So that was a little thing. And then at the end with the fall, that was very cool.
Right.
So they did the homage but changed it.
Right.
But yet you knew what you were watching.
Yeah, they turned it on its head a little bit, made it unique and new instead of just the same old thing.
Right.
Which I think was the problem that a lot of the reboots kind of do.
Right.
So this director, not necessarily the guy you would think would direct a horror film. He did Pineapple Express, which is a total comedy with
Seth Rogen,
McBride. He also did Your Highness. Also did Eastbound and Down. So he's done a lot of stuff with McBride already.
Yeah.
He directed some episodes of Vice Principals, directed the movie Stronger, and then Halloween. So this is really his first kind of jump into that genre. I thought he did very well. I was very impressed with what he did, and really kind of brought his own spin on it as well. And I think... I was very surprised that as a team, McBride and the director he usually works with, who normally do comedy, were able to really bring something to this continuing story or reboot the story and make it unique. And I was super happy with it. I mean,
because it really isn't a reboot; it's a continuation. You
had
it right the first time. Yeah, and I think having John Carpenter back involved probably added a lot.
Doesn't
to
hurt.
That help,
It definitely doesn't hurt.
And I read an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis where she said Deborah Hill, was also very instrumental in the original. And of course, she died a few years ago.
Right.
And but you could still sense her presence in the film because if you've watched any of the documentaries on how they made the original, she was very influential with Carpenter on how they wanted that movie to go. And you saw that in this movie too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with nothing was schmaltzy. I mean, the acting was good. They had a good cast and crew in this. I thought they cast pretty well for her daughter and for the granddaughter. So they're that's always a good. It's always distracting when casting's wrong.
Yeah,
I thought the casting was pretty spot on in this.
And we'll address the Judy Greer plays Laurie's daughter, who is married to a pacifist, and she's become pacifist because of her insane mom. Her perceived notion that Jamie Lee is insane.
Right.
And to be fair, anyone would have thought she was insane.
Totally, yeah.
But and Judy Greer is one of those actresses that I don't think gets a lot of credit She is always interesting in her roles.
Right.
Even if she has a throwaway role, you'll remember her.
Right.
You know, the first time I saw her was in that movie What Women Want with Mel Gibson.
Right.
And she's not in it that much, but her part and her performance in it was very touching in it. So she's a very good actress. I think she's great. Her daughter, Laurie's granddaughter, I don't know her name off the top of my head. Very good. I think she's only been in one or two things prior, so this is kind of like her coming out party.
Yeah, it's Andy Matichak.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Will Patton playing, I couldn't remember his name. Will Patton plays the, I don't know if he's a deputy.
Officer
He's
Hawkins.
a cop. Yeah. And this is one tiny bit that they might have stretched a little bit because apparently he was there the night in 1978, although I don't remember there being an Officer Hawkins. Might need to watch that again to see if that's ever mentioned. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you got to add something to continuation because he's one of the few people that doesn't really... He understands why Laurie's the way she is a little bit. They don't dwell on it too much, but you get the sense that he knows why she's, you know, because he's like, yeah, I was there, so he knows. Right. And because the whole town's thinks she's a loony.
It's one of those type of things where you can tell there's definitely subtext in the character where he's with her on it, but he's not going to say it out loud because he doesn't want people to think he's nutso. You know, basically.
And he's a cop, and he's got to maintain peace.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So he's just going to let her be crazy on her own, but he knows if some shit goes down, he's there because he was there. He wants to see the guy taken out as well. Yeah. So,
and there's a great scene, and you know, it's a horror movie, so and it involves a babysitter, and I loved that character. The girl babysitter, and I think her name was Virginia. Oh, I knew it before I started talking about her. Virginia something.
Virginia Gardner.
And I thought she was great, and she had a good rapport with the boy that she was babysitting. Right. And when she gets it, it's like, oh, I kind of liked her. You know.
I know it's hard. And that's the sign of a well-made movie, because I think a lot of times what you run into with horror movies that. People don't do enough is give me a character that I actually care about. And I think we talked about Blumhouse and the millennial movement of horror movies. I think that tends to be the problem with a lot of those is in the Blumhouse version of the millennial horror flick, it's all characters that are assholes and you want to see them die. Yeah. They don't really give you anybody that makes you want to go, you know what, I like that guy, I hope he doesn't die. Yeah. And that was something that Wes Craven always did. That was something that you had in the Halloween movies. Yeah. Because you had the slow burn build-up of these are the characters, this is the story, we're going to let it unfold, and then the final... You may get some murders in the second part of the film, and the final quarter of the film is really where everything happens. Yeah. And I think this Halloween did that. It gave you enough little bursts of Michael killing people with the podcasters in the beginning, and then there's really kind of a good lull there in the middle where nothing really happens, but it's still... character driven. You're learning more about Laurie Strode and her relationship with her family. Yeah. You're learning more about Officer Hawkins and his relationship to everything. So it allows that to build, and that's not something we see enough. Yeah. And it gives us time with those characters so that when they do die, you're like, oh man, like I didn't want Hawkins to die, and he freaking went out and like a chomp.
Yeah. Well, you could see it. I mean, you couldn't see it coming, but you could see that he didn't have a chance. Right. He didn't have a chance. And I know we said there's nothing schmaltzy, and I'm not saying it's schmaltzy, and I don't even know if he was the mayor, but there was the Jaws mayor in this, the mayor character from a Jaws movie where it's like, I'm not closing down that beach.
Right, yeah.
And the sheriff's like, yeah, I'm going to shut the city down on Halloween night. No, I'm not going to do that. And of course, it winds up blowing up in his face because Michael has escaped. And the whole escape scene was interesting. Yeah. And there's some conspiracy theories out about that. I don't know if you and I
have heard. Yeah, so they're saying the doctor had something to do with it. Yeah,
yeah, the doctor might have. I've even heard that because when Laurie hears it on the radio the next day, she doesn't seem surprised. Right. So I've even heard that they think Laurie might have been the one that caused the accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard that one. That's interesting.
That one too, yeah.
That kind of makes sense though, because she's, it's the opportunity for her to face him finally. And
she says that line, and Hawkins looks at her like she's insane. She goes, "I prayed every day that this night would happen." And he's like, "Really? Why would you pray for this?" Right. But she wanted to end it. You know, that was her whole thing.
That's her stressing out for 40 years.
Yeah.
And for her to finally put that to bed is, you know, that's got to be a giant relief for her.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I think this movie is a good final note for the series. I hate to think that they're going to make another one. I know they probably will because it was successful.
It made a ton of money.
Right. But I mean, I really think
if it ended right there, I'd be happy.
Totally happy with it.
I'd be fine with it. I'd miss not having another Halloween to look forward to. But
right. I think what they're going to do is the new one will be Season of the Witch reboot.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to address. I loved the little, I guess they call them Easter eggs now.
Right.
Dumb term, but that came out a few years ago that people are calling it.
Right.
There's several Easter eggs that do allude to the other movies, the other sequels. Mm-hmm. And Season of the Witch got even mentioned.
Yeah, they got a nod as well.
There's people wearing the Silver Shamrock costumes in there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
They addressed the whole Laurie supposedly being Michael Myers' sister, and it was like, no, that was an internet rumor. You know, so once they're bringing it into today's age, like, no, she wasn't his sister.
Right.
So I like that they did address the sequels without addressing the sequels.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, little stuff too. Another, this is on IMDb trivia. In the child's bedroom, the rotating lamp features a clown with a knife, a nod to the first killing in the original Halloween. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Something I didn't catch the first time. I don't know if you caught it.
No.
But yeah, that's cool.
Oh, when Hawkins goes in after the babysitter dies and her boyfriend, and remember the rocking chair has the sheet pulled over it.
Right.
That was like an homage to the first one when Michael shows up in the bedroom with the ghost sheet on his head. You know, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So yeah, big fan of the movie. I think they did a great job with it. I really I'm okay with it ending there.
Yeah.
I know Jamie Lee Curtis was talked into doing it, and when she was given the original script, she was only in like the first part of the movie, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So that was why she was on board, and they expanded her part exponentially because they wanted to have more emotional resonance to the film. So I'm glad she did it. I'm glad they were able to get most of the original cast back and do what they could do with it, and I think it was great.
Did you know that PJ Souls plays the teacher that's talking?
Yes.
And, of course, she was in the first one.
Yeah. Nice boobs in the first one, by the way.
Yeah.
She showed her boobs in, this is, by the way, if you like boob talk, Calypso Cigar Review. There's a lot of it on there. But no, she was also the boobs in the Stripes.
Yeah, Stripes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was her thing back then.
Yeah.
Show off the chesticles.
And there you go. You've already pulled out chesticles on our first episode.
Yes, sir.
All right. But, yeah, she disappeared though. There,
she did. Yeah,
didn't she marry like some director? I don't know.
No
something like
idea.
That. But yeah, she was big. She had Halloween and Stripes, and that was pretty much it for her.
Right.
That I can think of.
Yeah.
You know. But the whole film was just a fun ride for me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I
was wanting to like it, but I was afraid I wouldn't.
Right.
But I was going to tell you I liked it regardless, just because I knew you were going to hate it.
I think there's some movies you go into with a false pretense of like, I'm already going to hate this movie. Mm-hmm. I really decided when I heard this was coming, I didn't watch trailers for it. I didn't want to know. I wanted to know very little about it going in because I wanted it to be fresh. Mm-hmm. I did wind up seeing partial, like some news story about it, and got to see Laurie being badass and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're going the Sarah Connor route. That's fine. But I really went in kind of blind, and I think that really helped me not have a predisposed thought on it.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's a great movie in and of itself. So I think even if I had went in strongly thinking I'm going to hate this movie, it probably would have changed my mind.
Right.
And I was one of the few movies I'd seen recently where I didn't walk out going, yeah, but because I think there's a lot of movies that get made now where it's really just about let's get it out as fast as we can, let's make it fun, but there's so many plot holes that you just kind of
No, they did a lot of job of filling in the cracks in this movie. There are no cracks.
Yeah, like you said, whenever you thought there was something, it hit it right there, and then you didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, that's cool stuff. I mean, they definitely took the time to do it the right way. I think there were some reshoots and stuff on this too, so that made me kind of nervous as well. When it was originally coming out, they pushed it back, and I'm like, oh, that's always one of those things.
Well, I did read that the Cameron character, which was the boyfriend of Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter, he got killed, and they cut that out.
Oh, really?
And because they think they have an idea for the sequel and how to use him. So I hope he doesn't become Michael. That'd be stupid. But But it sounds like they're already planning ideas for the sequel. Although Jamie Lee says she hasn't been approached yet.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, PJ Souls has been working pretty steadily.
Oh, okay.
So she went from Halloween to Rock and Roll High School to
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Breaking Away, and then Private Benjamin, and then Stripes. Then she kind of disappeared for a while to TV, a lot of television, till about the mid-'80s when she started doing some more movies here and there, kind of sporadically. Episode of Cheers, episode of Airwolf. She was in Sweet Dreams. So I don't remember her in that, but she was in that apparently. Also,
the Patsy Cline movie?
Yeah, the Patsy Cline movie. She was in that. She did a couple things in the 90s as well, but nothing really big up until Halloween. So she was in Jawbreaker.
Okay.
That was a moderately successful movie. The Devil's Rejects, she was in that.
Okay.
So that's cool. I got to use a Rob
Well,
Zombie.
screw me for saying she got married as a director.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I was curious. I
Yeah.
didn't even. She was in Alone in the Dark too. I mean, she's been in some stuff.
Yeah.
But she's not the name that we knew, or the name that we. It's not a name that you know. You don't just.
No, but if
people
you
don't
were
just know PJ,
if you were 12 or
Souls. Yeah.
13 at the time, you
Oh,
knew
yeah.
who she was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I watched the original before I went and saw this because I wanted to go in with that. I hadn't seen it, and I hadn't watched it yet, and it was getting close to Halloween, and that's one of my every year watches. And it definitely has a very similar feel. Obviously, it feels like it's made nowadays. It doesn't have that 70s feel, but it does have tonally.
It did.
It does.
It did, and the colors I thought were very,
Right.
very, very consistent.
A lot of the shots too, like you talk about the shot in the school where you see the student and then it shifts focus to outside.
Yeah.
It's like the exact same shot from the original. So they did a lot of stuff like that. The
Yeah.
shot over the edge with her being gone,
Yeah.
it's the same shot. So
Yeah.
they did take those moments and bring them into the new movie, and it worked, which I was very happy about because
I
it made
agree.
me giddy. If you ever, there's very few times now in the movies where I just go, "Ee," and that was one of those times when I was watching that movie and I was like, yes, it was just awesome.
Yeah, they just got it right. That's
They
all.
did, they
That's
did.
all you can say.
Yeah.
And I rarely leave a movie where I go, oh, I can't wait to watch that again. And I just watched it the other night, and it's because it's out on Blu-ray 4D right now. So I got a copy
4K,
of it.
4K Blu-ray, yeah,
4K 4D. Who knows anymore?
3D, 4.5, whatever.
We're not even near 3,000 yet. Why are we promoting year 4,000?
I don't know.
But so I saw it, and you said you got a copy too,
Yeah.
so you're going to watch
Yeah.
it. But
I haven't watched it yet, but I got it from Amazon. It's just sitting there. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Maybe liked it better the second time because I wasn't nervous for it.
Right.
You ever do that? You get nervous for a film where you're like, oh, I want this to be good,
Right.
and so you're nervous. So you're like focusing on is it good, as opposed to letting the story happen.
Right. Right.
So this time I could just watch it. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh yeah, this is good.
I think I'm that way at every James Bond movie. Like every time I go into a James Bond movie, I'm nervous. I'm just like, God, I hope this one doesn't suck. And Star Trek movies too, because every other one was like sucky, so you kind of got to know the patterns of those. But
Yeah.
and again, a lot of the Halloween movies, not real huge fan of, but I do like some of them.
Oh, I've seen every one of them.
Yeah, me too.
Multiple times.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. I think
for Season of the Witch.
what was the one with Busta Rhymes? That was probably the
That was
worst.
the last one.
Yeah.
Resurrection.
Just awful.
And I
Just
love
awful.
that. And I'm going to mention him, so I'm going to break our streak. But I love that we not even addressed the Rob Zombie fiascos. 'Cause
Right.
those were terrible.
Yeah. So
The only thing I liked about the zombie was the casting of Malcolm McDowell as Loomis. That was a
Right.
good casting part.
But they also did Rob Zombie has this weird obsession with making everybody look like him in his
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
So they gave him the straggly, greasy,
Yeah.
long hair. I'm like, why? He's a doctor. Would he have? He'd at least have it in a ponytail.
Yeah.
He wouldn't look like he's a street bum or something. He wouldn't like he's. He didn't look like he's in a rock band. It just didn't make sense to me. But Rob Zombie does that, and I don't think he's a bad director. I liked Devil's Rejects. I liked House of a Thousand Corpses. I just didn't like.
I just didn't
his
want him anywhere near
take.
Halloween.
Yeah.
No.
He gave you a backstory that you didn't need, and I think that's a problem that Hollywood's having nowadays is they're taking these characters that we knew and loved and rebooting things and then trying to give you this extra backstory, which in the case of Michael Myers takes a character that's scary because he's just a kid.
Yeah.
He murders his sister. You don't know why. There's no explanation. It's just scary because it's just it could be anybody
It's
down
scary
the street.
because Dr. Loomis told us in the first movie.
Right.
He's evil.
Right.
That's it.
That's
all
all you need.
the explanation I needed to know.
Right.
I looked in his eyes, and all I could see was evil.
Exactly.
That's all I need. I don't need to see that his parents mistreated him.
And he was
blah,
out
blah.
killing bunnies, and he was being bullied, and
Nah.
I mean that at that point you're trying to build sympathy for a character you shouldn't have sympathy for,
Right.
And it also, in my mind, takes the teeth out of that character, so that when he does go kill people, you're like, whatever, you know, I'm not concerned at that point.
No.
So, and then
Just say he's evil and let's move on, and I've got it. I've
Right.
got it. You don't have to
Yeah.
beat me over the head.
And then the
with it.
second one's the whole mommy issue thing with the horse and the wife. I'm just like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
It just was
I know.
off the rails.
Yeah.
So I was not a fan of either of those Rob Zombies.
I couldn't get through the
interpretations.
second one. I tried.
It took me,
when the
think,
guard got
3
killed
tries.
at the guard station
Right.
thing, I was like, okay, I'm done. This is as far as I'm going in this
Right.
movie.
Plus, I didn't like. I mean, I love the character of Michael Myers because he's not super imposing. I mean, he's a tall guy. Nick Castle's tall, and,
Yeah.
and anybody else who's played the character has always been pretty tall. But it's not like Jason. He's not this big hulking guy.
Right.
And Jason kind of evolved into that over the series as well,
Right.
especially with Kane Hodder. But to take Michael, who's this just average build guy, and turn him into this hulking, guy that they got some wrestler to play him, it just, again, took the character in a direction I didn't think it needed to go.
Yeah, and that's just not necessary.
Yeah.
No.
We've got enough characters like that already. We don't need
Right.
Michael to turn into one of those guys,
Right,
too.
exactly.
So ignore those. If you want to watch the original sequels, I think there's some merit to those, and there's some good fun in there.
Yeah.
Some really good, deaths and stuff, because you always talk about how they're going to kill people. Right. And it's morbid as hell to say that, but you always love those cool deaths where you're like, yes, that was the coolest death. Friday the 13th is probably the best for me.
Oh, yeah.
For that. The deaths were always like crazy with the putting the guy in
the sleeping bag.
the sleeping bag one is phenomenal. It's so great. So yeah, but I mean that's I think the original Halloween is still fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorite, probably top 10 horror movies of all time. It's probably in my top 10 movies of all time personal list.
Yeah. Oh, in horror movies, it's top 2 maybe.
Right.
3 at the most maybe. you
Right.
know. But not to name drop, but when we interviewed Kane Hodder, I wanted to ask him what his favorite death scene was.
Right.
And we didn't get a chance because he was really in a hurry.
Yeah.
And they were closing it down around us. It wasn't like he was being rude.
Yeah.
They were closing the whole thing around us. He was just nice enough to talk to us. For a
Right.
few
He'd blown
minutes.
his voice. He was.
But
yeah,
I
he
was watching
miserable.
something on the history of horror films not too long ago, and he was being interviewed, and he mentioned that the sleeping bag death was his favorite death. I'm like, well, good.
Yes.
I didn't get to ask him, but they asked him, so I got to find out.
Right.
what that was.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't seen Halloween 2019, definitely give it a go. It is worth
Or
your time.
2018, since that's the year it came out.
Oh, 2018. Sorry. Yeah. Whatever. Dickbag.
If there is a 2019, go see it, but I don't think there
Maybe,
will be.
probably not. Blumhouse might rush it out. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, Halloween is a good flick. I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope that you do as well.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on our first episode of Fright Flix. We hope that you continue to join us. The next couple of weeks is going to be a couple more movie reviews while we try and get some filmmakers on board to talk to us.
And we'll probably address more older horror films a lot more because, we've seen those. And we don't want to spoil a movie for people.
Right.
So we will, if there's going to be spoilers, we will tell you.
Right.
But I subscribe to the 3-year spoiler rule. If it's been over 3 years, then sorry, you should have seen it by now.
Right.
Especially if you're clicking on something that tells you this is a review for it,
Right.
then don't watch it, or go see the movie first and then watch it. Because there's one movie, and I'm going to throw Brandon under the bus on our second episode for people to get a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
Splinter. Because it's one of my favorite independent horror films. I think it's one of your favorites
Yeah, it's
as
great.
well.
Yeah.
And when we did review it on the old podcast, it was at a live remote, and we didn't, because I listened to it the other day, we did not give that movie justice. We gave it a thumbs up, but we talked about it. It was so loud, we didn't really get into anything about it. So if you get a chance, watch Splinter from 2007
You got me.
with Shea Whigham, Jill Wagner, directed by Toby Wilkes. And great movie.
Great movie, yeah. It's in practical effects, so
Yeah,
it's not this
no
CGI
CGI.
junk. It is scary as hell and great pacing, great
Absolutely.
characters, very character-driven. It's what we like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.